The Ministry, Honorable Speaker, will also liaise with the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to ensure security is provided for successful implementation of adjudication program. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether I also go to the second question.
Yes.
Thank you. The second question by the same Member of Parliament, Honorable Gideon Muliungi. Honorable Speaker, I'm meant to provide details of the contract sum and contract period for the high-mast security lighting project undertaken in Mwingi Town by the State Department for Housing and Urban Development. Also indicate when will the project be completed and handed over to the county government of Kitui. And then part 3, consider adding more high-mast security lights in order to cover a wider area and improve security in the town. Honorable Speaker, I wish to respond as follows. The project was awarded to MS Biomax Africa Limited of PO Box 91131-80100 Mombasa on June 3rd, 2020, with a contract sum of 18,599,150, inclusive of all taxes. The agreement between MS Biomax Africa Limited and the accounting officer was signed on July 29th, 2020, and the high masts were erected in the following locations in Mwingi Sub-County, Kitui County. One was in Musila Gardens, KCB, Country Bus, Kenya Power, and Probox Stage. The contract data, Mr. Speaker, was for project. The project installation was of 5 electric-powered high-mast flood lighting structures in various informal settlements in Kitui County. The contract number was as indicated there. The contractor was MS Biomax Africa Limited. The client was Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, State Department of Housing and Urban Development, and it was from the Slum Upgrading Department. The user or beneficiary was the county government of Kitui, and the supervisors was the Public Works, Kitui County. Contract sum was 18,599,150. Commencement date was September 3rd, 2020, and completion date was March 18th, 2021, and the work done was 100%. Honorable Speaker, of 5 electric-powered high-mast flood lighting structures in various informal settlements in Kitui County was 18,599,150. The contract period of 28 weeks plus a 6-month defects liability period. Then there was the project officially commenced on September 3rd, 2020, and was completed on March 18, 2021. Certificate of practical completion was issued on December 15th, 2021, and the certificate of making good defects was issued on June 15th, 2022. Honorable Speaker, in response to question 2, I wish to respond as follows. There were 2 meetings as well as site inspections to hand over the high masts to the county government of Kitui on January 14th, 2022 and June 21, 2022. The handing over was postponed due to a pending Kenya Power and Lighting Company bill of Kenya shillings 454,720 that was not factored in the contract. The bill has since, Mr. Speaker, been settled, and the ministry is making arrangements for handover to the county government of Kitui. Honorable Speaker, in response to question number 3, the ministry will consider adding more high-mast flood lighting to cover a wider area and also ensure security once the budget is allocated. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary, Honorable Muliungi. Do you have any supplementary or you are satisfied?
Yeah, I have a supplementary. On question number 084, stroke 2223, Roman 1 and 2. Yeah, on Muikom Basin, I think the CS should be very clear and practical on the timelines, because he says within the year. So I need to know within what period will they be going back to the site to start surveying. Roman number 2, on the titling of the border with Tana River, there is only one surveyor on site. He will take ages to complete, more than decades to complete. So could the CS add extra surveyors to support that exercise? On question number 085, stroke 2023, on the IMAST, security lighting. Now, the CS has said that he will consider adding more lights when funds become available. I think budget has just been read. He should be telling me, is there provision in the budget for additional IMAST or not, so that it is not a story. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Hold, Mr. Okay. Minister, I'll Omboko Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. These questions had been forwarded correctly, so I'll just ask them as they were, though they did not appear on the order paper. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain why Muhaya Sub-County has not been having a land control board since 1919? And number 2, why is the Muhaya Sub-County not appearing in the newly gazetted list of land control board members for the respective sub-counties around the country, despite the Vihiga County Commissioner having submitted the list of the nominees for all the sub-counties in Vihiga? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Could the CS provide information in regard to the titleage of South Ngariama land, including the procedure and rationale of adjudication process being undertaken, to whether the ministry is relying on the original mapping done by GeoAcre Limited, and if not, indicate which one and the rationale for the same? Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Can the CS also inform Nairobians, especially the schools, Lavington Primary School, Mudhangari Primary School? Why is it first Mudhangari, the title to date? You will never find it even in the lands ministry. And after digitization was done, Mr. Speaker, we affected so many things. Lavington Primary is 21 acres, and right now it is so encroached, and if possible, we can meet him with all the stakeholders to ensure we deal with the matter once and for all.
Edith? Honorable Edith Nyanzi.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me find out from the CS when compensation will be done to the people who gave out land when the Kibwez Kitui Mwingi Road was being done. There are some people who gave out land. They signed some forms with the National Land Commission, and they've not been compensated for a very long time. And my people in the constituency are affected. So when will they be compensated? Thank you.
Zamzam. Noting all those.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, ningependa kumuuliza waziri kule Dongo Kundu ambapo wameanza special economic zone pale. Kuna wakazi ambao walikuwa hapo miaka mingi sana, walikuwa na mashamba eka 10, 20, lakini wanalia kuwa wanapewa 50 by 100
na saa zingine unapelekwa sehemu ambazo hata hawawezi kukaa vizuri, sehemu ambazo ni tata katika ardhi. Kwa hiyo ningependa kujua umewapangia vipi wakazi wa Dongo Kundu na watafidiwa vipi mashamba yao? Asante sana.
Minister, can you answer those supplementary? I'll come back to you. Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. In regards to the first question, 084-2023, I want to assure the Honorable Member that there is a budget allocation of 100 million towards the project of high masks. And it's good also to note there were areas that were never even got those facilities. So once we look at this budget, then we'll be able to see whether we can have additional high mask security lights. So it's good to note that we cut across all the counties, and kindly appreciate what you got first. But I can assure you, once funds allow, we are going also to have additional. On allocation, the other issue is on the Amuhaya. Yes, we have areas that were left behind on the Lands Control Board. What we do as a ministry, we write to the county commissioners who, through their DCCs, are supposed now to come up with names and then forward them to the ministry for gazettement. So what I want to assure the Honorable Member is that I'll take up the issue, but also you can visit the ministry so that we can follow it up with you. And it's unfortunate that the constituency has stayed for such long without a land spot. The other question is in regards to the Lavington Primary School and Mudhangari. Honorable Member, Honorable Speaker, there's a team working on public lands across the country. We know there have been rampant grabbing of public land, so there's a team that is working, and that report will help the ministry deal with issues of land that has been grabbed, and Lavington Primary and Mudhangari will be one of those. On the compensation of some land, Honorable Speaker, the issue on compensation for public land is entirely with the National Lands Commission. So this is an issue that we'll pick with the National Lands Commission to see how they are going to fast track that issue. On the Dongo Kundu compensation, this is usually based on the size of the land that is being processed. Kwa hivyo wale ambao wamepewa sehemu ndogo za ardhi, kama sio wote, basi kama wizara tutaangalia ni jinsi ipi ambayo tutaweza kuwasaidia. Lakini we are trying to make sure every person gets compensation. So if there will be any issues that will need to be looked into, the ministry is ready to do that, Mheshimiwa. On the issue of titling, Honorable Speaker, I want to assure this Honorable House that where we have few staff, we have advertised for more recruitment, and in this financial year, we are going to have, though not adequate number of staff, we are going now to spread those we will get to make sure that we fast track areas that need our attention. I think, Honorable Speaker, I've covered.
Jerry, there is one question from the distinguished member for Kirinyaga, the women rep. She asked about some specific... Jerry, can you repeat your question? You got it, Minister?
Yeah, maybe she can repeat it, please.
Jerry?
That's in order. House complaint, Honorable Speaker. Thank you. My question is, could you provide information in regard to the titlage of the South Ngariama land, the procedure and the rationale of the adjudication currently being undertaken, and two, whether the ministry is relying on the original mapping done by GeoAcre Limited, and if not, indicate which one and the rationale behind it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. With the South Gariama land, there is a team that is working to make sure that that process is done, but I would request, Honorable Member, you can visit us in the ministry so that we can look into the whole issue and do that process seamlessly. So I would request that you visit the ministry so that we can handle that issue with you and other leaders. Thank you.
Yes, Jeanette. What about Jeanette? Give Jeanette a mic.
Mr. Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence on a matter. Mr. Speaker, when the cabinet secretaries come here, most of them, their answers to certain questions is, you can visit us in the office. We don't want to visit. We want answers here in Parliament. This is our place of operation, Mr. Speaker. We don't want to go and take tea in the offices.
Indeed, Minister, once a question comes to the floor as a property of this House, it no longer becomes a private engagement between any member and the minister. So try as much as you can to answer questions. Where you don't have ready answers, we can indulge you to write to the House, and the member will be notified, or we will call you within the shortest time possible to answer questions that you may not have been having the facts readily available to you. But we discourage this camaraderie of moving away questions from being the House property to a private engagement between a member. The moment I approve a question, it ceases to be an engagement between a member and the minister. It's a property of the House. Yes, Mulyongi?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I'll come to you.
Mr.
Yes,
Speaker, in my supplementary question, there are some questions which the CS has skipped. He has not answered. And one of them is regarding Muiko Basin. I asked you about the timelines. It's not, you told me about the Wulia. You look at the Wulia and see what you can do.
You made your point.
So, number two, that's
Yes.
one. I want timelines on that. Number two, I cannot agree with the CS that Kenyan government does not have surveyors, because he's saying he's recruiting. How do you recruit to supply surveyors?
Ask him a question.
So CS, can you assure me that you are going to add more surveyors at the border of Tana River for surveying the land? Thank you.
Thank you. Oundo, what is the problem?
Probably it's just a matter of a policy matter, and I want the cabinet secretary, and picking up where Honorable Beatrice Elachi had left about Kileleshwa Primary School land. I'm sure the cabinet secretary is aware that many primary schools, public primary schools in this country, have no titles, have no ownership registration documents. And it's even more telling, Honorable Speaker, for those schools that the community vested land. And we have cases where the patriarch or the matriarch who gave out land for the particular school never completed the process. Many of the primary schools, because of delayed in transfer of funds from the national government, are unable to put in funds to acquire a title because they require a government surveyor. A government surveyor would want to be facilitated transport, paid for lunch, there are certain payments to be made. Can the minister probably in due course with his team come up with a very clear policy framework that will reduce the burden and the cost of the impoverished schools so that they can be given some kind of remission, they prepare and acquire titles to avoid encroachment and the so-called referred land grabbing, which does not even exist in practice. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Minister?
Honorable Speaker, for the Mui Coal Basin issue, as I said, we are going to have it done in this financial year 2023-2024, and I want to assure the honorable member that once funds are released within 60 days, we will have done that work. Two, for the surveyors, for our staff and surveyors, we are mobilizing. We'll mobilize those whom we have, and I can assure you that work, the one surveyor will be added, and we'll have more of them now working towards doing that work. Honorable Speaker, as a ministry, we have a titling program for all public learning institutions. We have a committee that is working towards that, and through our national titling program, we are going to issue titles to all learning institutions without charging them anything. So we know that most of those learning institutions have been grabbed, and what we'll do for those who have grabbed, once that committee comes up with that report, then we'll make sure that land reverts back to where it is supposed to be. So there's a national titling program that is working towards public learning institutions, and we are working so closely with the Ministry of Education to achieve that. Thank you.
Yes, Oundo.
Honorable Speaker, unfortunately from our training, when you make a pronouncement, there must be deliverables. And the one of the deliverables, the time when to deliver. When a lady conceives, it's expected after 9 months, not more than 9 months, they deliver.
What is your question?
Can the Cabinet Secretary give us exact timelines when that program is going to be actualized, come to an end, and what are the deliverables? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Minister.
Yes, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, this is an ongoing program for the last 2 years. Of course, we are meeting, we are facing challenges, but I can assure you there are institutions today that already are titled. They have their tenure of ownership. So maybe we have not reached where Mheshimiwa is, but this is an ongoing program. It has been there for the last 2 years, and we are happy that we are achieving a lot towards that.
Thank you. Yes, member for Chepalungu. Let's take 3, then we...
Thank you. Once again, Mr. Speaker, sir. I have a question, and I know this answer maybe will come next when the minister will be in the house. There is a small village in my constituency. For your benefit, I'm called Victor Koech Mandazi, member for Chepalungu. There's a small village in my constituency, popularly known as Legetetet. It is next to Shiongiroi, which is a very popular town. There were families in the 1990s that were asked for land, to surrender land to the government for government construction. And it's now housing the current DC's office, the chief's office, the hospital, and majorly Shiongiroi Day Secondary School, and currently now KMTC, that is within my constituency. These families are 3. They surrendered their land, and they were promised land next to Shiongiroi Girls. The village is called Legetetet Village. Up to now, there are 300 families without proper documentation. My question is, now that maybe you're not aware, what amount of time would your office require to make sure these persons living next to Shiongiroi Girls High School have proper documentation for their land? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kaluma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member, you are masked. I can't quite tell who you are.
Kirima.
Go on.
It's Honorable Kirima. Honorable Speaker, I have two supplementary questions to the ministry. Honorable Speaker, the one matter hindering titling or issuance of titles to lands across the country is disappearance of records at the lands ministry. And therefore my question is, how is the ministry dealing, or what measures is the ministry taking to ensure that records relating to land that disappear at the ministry are replaced and restored to the owners to enable not just titling, but also the rightful owners to engage in transactions? Honorable Speaker, we have several parcels of land across the country, and even those where some including ourselves are taking mortgages which cannot be traced at the ministry. What measures have you instituted? But lastly, Honorable Speaker, when we hear titling, more so for us coming from Homa Bay County, it is like stories. Places like mine in Homa Bay Town constituency, the village area, even my own ancestral land on which I built my home, we don't have titles. What measures do you have in place or have you instituted as a ministry to ensure that those parts of the country which are not yet titled, like those ones I'm talking about, are also titled, and the people who rightfully own can also deal in land and transact business? I thank you.
Kirima.
So, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My humble question to the Minister for Finance is that Central Imenti award called Care Award, we have an adjudication section called Care B, which was adjudicated way back in the year 2003. Titles have not been issued. I have asked a number of questions before this Honorable House. And even now, before the ministers started coming to the Parliament, there was a question which we asked and it has never been responded to. We know very well that Meru County has been having issues of title deeds. But when it comes to attendance, Meru County, Meru North, Tigania, Igembe, and parts of Bole have been attended to. Why is Central Imenti not been attended to as it relates to issuance of title deeds in that remaining section, which borders the Raka sub-county of Tarakanidi County? Who are those who prevented it to be issued? And why has that gathering not been, has not been honored, Mr. Minister? Thank you, sir.
Minister, can you answer those?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The issue of the Chepalungu, where families were displaced and promised, surrendered their land, where government institutions were built. Honorable Speaker, that the issue on compensation of government land lies with the National Lands Commission. So what I will do, I'm going to liaise with the National Lands Commission on this issue so that next time I come, Honorable Speaker, I can be able to give light to that particular question. On the disappearance of land records, Honorable Speaker, we are aware as a ministry that this has been a big problem, and that's why as a ministry we took that bold step of digitizing all our land records. We started with Nairobi, where now we are scanning all the land documents ready for digitization, and from there we are going to move to all other registries in the country. Currently, what other registries are doing is arranging documents ready for scanning so that we can be able to have all those records in the Adisasa platform. Once we do that, Honorable Speaker, then the human touch with the manual records is going to, we are going to do away with that. So there is not going to be interference of our records, and that's why all of us should support this digitization program. And I can assure you, or 95% of the problems we have within the land ministry is going to be taken care of. The Central Imenti issue, it's true, we have been having that issue, and I remember I had a question to tackle at the Senate, but we've been having a security problem between the Tharaka Nithi and the Meru boundaries. So, yeah, the dispute. So we are handling that, and once we solve that problem, then we are going to start issuing titles within that area. Thank you.
Yes, member for Ganze.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two supplementary questions.
Only one.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. Okay, I want to know from the CS for lands and settlement, the circumstances under which Giriama Ranch land that is in Ganze. Yeah, this is a ranch that was started by the community, and they had wanted to do some livestock farming. But at some point, the project collapsed. But what is not clear is how that title did for that land, which was freehold. At some point, it turned to leasehold, and only a few people now are owning that property. So I want to know from the CS under what circumstances that land changed from freehold to leasehold. Thank you.
Minister, we'll have to make progress, members.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thanks for that question. Honorable Speaker, I wish to respond to that question in the next meeting, because it was really not part of the questions that I was handling today. And also, Honorable Speaker, I would ask for your indulgence that maybe the supplementary questions be based on the questions.
Not necessarily, okay. But that's a fair request. Caleb Amisi. Caleb Amisi. I have no written notification that the requirement, Honorable Wamboka, is any member who is unable to come and prosecute his question must write to the Speaker to inform the Speaker of one, his inability or her inability to be in the House, and to nominate and designate a particular member to prosecute the question. On this particular issue, I have no letter from the Honorable Amisi at all. I don't cast any aspersions on you, but the rules are rules. They are your own rules. We have no letter from him, so I won't allow you. Next question, Jack. Yes. Ordinarily, I would have dropped the question, but in this mix, we will stay it for the next time the minister comes. David Gikaria. Question. And for all members, if you have a question and you are unable to be in the House for reasons that the House will understand, designate a colleague in writing to the Speaker that so and so will be the one to prosecute my question. We have done so before. Yes,
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question number 109 of 2023. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide a detailed report on the names and periods of engagement of persons, particularly youth and elders, who are engaged in Kazi Mtaani project phase 3 in 2022 in Nakuru Town East constituency? 2, provide the status of payment of dues to the people who are engaged in the said phase 3 Kazi Mtaani project in Nakuru Town East constituency. And 3, outline the plans that have been put in place to ensure that youths who are yet to be paid are duly paid, and when will they be paid following termination of Kazi Mtaani project. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the question number 4, part 1, where I'm requested to provide a detailed report on the names and periods of engagement of persons, particularly youths and elders who are engaged in the Kazi Mtaani project phase 3 in 2022 in Nakuru Town constituency. Honorable Speaker, in response to the above question, I wish to respond as follows. The outbreak of COVID-19 in Kenya in 2020 prompted the government to adopt containment policies and measures to limit the spread of the virus across the country. These measures limited movement of the population and as a result caused a contraction of the economy. In response to the challenge above, the National Hygiene Program, well known as NHP...
Minister, which question are you answering? The question is so simple. Provide detailed report on the names and the period of engagement of persons, particularly youths and elders.
Yes, I was just giving a background information.
Try and you can say how many members want to ask questions.
Okay.
So don't scatter around questions, just answer questions.
Okay, well guided, Honorable Speaker.
You've seen the question?
Yes.
Provide a detailed report on names and the period of engagement of persons. Provide status of payment dues to these people, and so on and so forth. Very simple questions. Pardon? We are on question 109 of 2023. Asked by the Honorable David Kikaria, the man from your own county.
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The following is the summary of persons who are engaged in Kazi Mtaani project in Nakuru Town East constituency across the 2 cohorts. There's a table there, Honorable Speaker, that gives the cohorts. We have the cohort under number 1 that we had 3,240 workers. Then we have the cohort 2 that had 3,134. Then cohort 2 of R1, 3,415, and then cohort 2 of 3,415. Plans to clear this, Honorable Speaker, is that the State Department of Housing and Urban Development has a cash requirement of 1.206 billion to pay all workers who worked in the counties where Kazi Mtaani Phase 3 was implemented. In the financial year 2022-2023, the approved budget was 2 billion for that program. However, the amount was reduced in the supplementary budget to by 884 million, leaving the available budget at 384 million, which we are waiting the exchequer. Thus, there is a budget shortfall of 882 million, and upon availability of these funds, the State Department will be keen to clear its unpaid bills. Honorable Speaker, the following is also a summary of the dues paid and unpaid for the Kazi Mtaani workers in Nakuru Town East constituency. As shown there, number 1, we have cohort 2 and round under cohort 1R1, workers were 3,240. The payment dues is 4,959,951, and the status as it is today, it is paid. Then we have number 2, we have 3,134 workers where the payment dues was 12,480,280. That was also paid. Then we have the number 3, 3,415. Payment dues was 10,667,300, and the payment was also paid. Now, the last one of 3,415 we have 13,748,305, which is unpaid. Annexure 3 is a detailed report of workers who were engaged in Kazi Mtaani project, Nakuru Town East constituency. It contains the list of all the workers who are engaged in Kazi Mtaani project in phase 3 from Nakuru Town East constituency. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gikaria.
Thank you, Chair. It's unfortunate I didn't have a copy of what so that I could be able to follow how I wish, because I was trying to take. It's only that when the submissions were being done, I've had this being a financial year that is already gone, I think 2 years now, and they are still waiting for exchequer. And there was a requirement, of course, by Parliament that whatever has not been paid by 30th of June then requires a supplementary vote for it to be paid. I would want to know from the Waziri whether the ministry has put that in place to have a supplementary vote to be able to pay that. And secondly, the 13 million that is unpaid in Nakuru Town East constituency, I would want Waziri again to give some timelines as to whether it was budgeted in this financial year 2023-2024. If not, what plans are there to ask for again for supplementary votes to be paid? Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Order. Point of order. Who are you at the back there? What's your point of order, Kirima?
Point of order is that my question has not been answered perfectly by the minister when he answered, Mr. Speaker, sir. And he gave me a raw answer because there is something which he left out.
Yeah, but when did you answer? You asked, was your question to this minister?
Yes. My question to this minister was...
Which question number is that?
It was a supplementary question, Mr. Speaker.
It is passed. The supplementary question on another question. Can you give him the mic?
It was a supplementary question on which he answered, but he did not give satisfactory answer because he told me...
A supplementary question on a question that we have already gone beyond. We have gone to the next question. A matter is life in the House when it is life. When you proceed to the next order or the next question, that matter ceases to be any issue for discussion at that time. Unless, of course, there's an undertaking on when he's going to give you an answer or whether you should go to his office, and in which case then you want a definitive response as to when you will get the answer. You know,
Mr. Speaker, if you can give me a chance, you can get what I asked so that I can get it from the minister himself so that I can know the way forward. I asked about the title deed of Kiamurimbi, and then, Mr. Minister, you know you had chosen a commission, the Andrew Ligare Commission and the Ogongo Commission, which gave you an answer of what you are supposed to do. Why have you not implemented the results of those commissions up to now? Just as simple as that, Mr. Speaker.
You were supposed to rise on that point of order at the appropriate time. You're rising on a point of order on a
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But of course, the minister has had this, and I think the minister, you then make sure that you give your answer at the appropriate time by sending it to the House here, and the House will take note of that, and the honourable member will be notified. Yes, the MP for Kirinyaga, women.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order. I want a commitment from the CS on whether he will respond in writing or whether he will respond when he next comes to the floor, because the people of Southern Gariama need an answer, and I am the mouthpiece for them here in Parliament. Thank you.
Clearly, the PS, while he is responding to the supplementary questions, will also give an undertaking on all those questions that are pending, that essentially the members of Parliament will need to have answered and the answer brought to the House. I think the The position is very clear. When a question is raised on the floor of the House, it becomes a property of the House. So then you can send it. Yes, what's your supplementary order? The lady called Elachi, what's your point of order? Okay, what's your supplementary? Order. You cannot have two supplementary at the same time. Order, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr.
MP
Speaker.
for Nyando, take your seat.
Thank you, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker.
Beatrice Elachi is a full member of this House. She's not a half member such that when she's already given an opportunity, you want to override that opportunity for you to be given an opportunity. Go ahead, Beatrice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my supplementary question now goes to the CS on a matter that is in Kajiado, a land reference 462, a parcel of land that was taken by Kenya Railways when they were doing the standard gauge railway. This is land for old women who live in Dagoretti North. They have gone through a very hard process, Mr. Speaker, and I would wish the CS to now undertake that the registrar in Ngong knows about this issue. He has taken these women for the last 3 years, going around until they went to court. They have won in court in Kajiado. They have come back to Railways, and now Railways is telling them they have to go back again to the registrar in Ngong, who at this moment we can't even find him or even the file.
If for Nyando, you can ask your supplementary questions so that the minister can answer a number of supplementary questions at the same time. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much. From the outset, Honorable Kaluma did ask why there is a slow pace of issuance of title deeds within the Nyanza region, Honorable Speaker, and that has not been answered too. But my supplementary question, Honorable Speaker, in the month of February, Awasi Lands Registry offices got banned by, I don't know, during a weekend, Honorable Speaker. Whereas there has been an undertaking by the Cabinet Secretary, and of course he has put that in the Gazette notice, that reconstruction of documents will be undertaken within the next few days. And this will continue, I think, for about a year or two. We also need to know the progress of investigations that are being carried out, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, the thugs, as I would call them, will remain complicit, because this is not the first time that is happening, Honorable Speaker. Whereas that falls under the purview of investigative agencies, Honorable Speaker, the consumers of this information from the DCI or whoever will be the Ministry of Lands, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it behoves all of us to know the levels of investigations that have been carried out. And finally, Honorable Speaker, I would want to know whether those who donated land for the Korusoin Dam have fully been compensated. How I wish he knew the levels of where this dam is. He would have been the right person to answer. But about compensation is very key to the people who gave out their land, of course, to a project that has never taken shape. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I wish to, in all wisdom, bring to all your attentions when the minister is asked specific questions, but the House then has the leeway of asking everything under the sun as far as land is concerned from their own constituents or from the country. You can't possibly expect the minister to have imagined all those things and taken them into considerations. So when he gives an undertaking, and when I last knew in this thing, the rules were very specific. When he gives an undertaking that he is going to come with these answers at a later date, I think you must respect that what you call position on them and that wisdom, because they're going out of the way. They're not telling you that you have not asked that question, you want us to answer that question, put it again as a question. Ordinarily, that used to be the case when I was here in the last, under the old dispensation. And here it says, the Speaker may permit the member who raised a question to ask a maximum of 2 supplementary questions that are relate to the original question. Okay, you could say they all relate to lands. And then it goes further and says,
permit a member other than the member who asked a question to ask a further supplementary question that relates to original question. Direct the Cabinet Secretary to provide additional information or further reply to a question or supplementary questions to the relevant committee of the House. Defer the question to a different time. And I think the way we are going right now is both an intense generosity from the minister and an intense, engagement from the House, which is very, very good and very healthy. But when he gives you an undertaking that, look, this was not in your original question, but I'll go back, do the homework, get the information back, and come and give it again, I think you should accept it. And the minister, on the part of the minister, remember every undertaking you give in here, you owe this House that answer. The Honorable, another supplementary question from the Honorable Kaluma Peter. Give him the mic, please. Yes.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, mine is not a supplementary, but to salute your directions to the House based on the standing order. But Honorable Speaker, the question had asked about titling in our region had no undertaking. The point of order is that it has not been replied to at all, either in terms of giving reply now or giving an undertaking as to when communication will be made to the House on it.
Okay,
would we get that information?
Cabinet Minister has had that, and I'm sure he's also taken note of that. Yes, Honorable Mwenje, and then followed by the Honorable Mogaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I ask my supplementary, I'd request you guide the CS that as he's responding, he responds to the member who has asked the question. So for introduction, my name is Mark Mwenje. My supplementary question is, in Nairobi, we had cohort 2, round 2 of Kazi Mtaani, 36,726 workers and 3,239 supervisors who till today remain unpaid. As I listened to his response to the Honorable Gekaria, he did not give a timeline of when the ministry intends to pay these youths, not just in Nakuru, but also this 36,000 in Nairobi. So can the Cabinet Secretary give a commitment, give timeline, and if the government does not want to pay these people, can he say so that they do not intend to pay the people of Kazi Mtaani?
Very well, and
thank you,
wait, Honorable CS, take a few more supplementary. Mogaka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and Mr. CS, thank you for coming. I want, Mr. Speaker, the Minister, my name is Stephen Mogaka, Member of Parliament for West Mugrango constituency, which houses Nyamira County. I want, Mr. Speaker, the Minister to note and at appropriate time tell this House whether he is aware that there are fake title deeds emanating from the Nyamira Land Registry. And if so, when the ministry is going to conduct an audit and ensure that the fake title deeds in circulation are either destroyed and the architects of and authors of that crime brought to book. The second supplementary question is for the minister to give me an undertaking to give me an answer as to whether the people whose land was taken to construct the current Nyamira County Hospital, whether they were ever compensated, and if not, when they are going to be compensated. Similarly, road expansion has been undertaken by the county government in the last 3-4 years. And a lot of demolition has been undertaken in the process of the expansion of road networks. Why is Nyamira County never compensated? Why is the Compulsory Land Acquisition Act not applicable in Nyamira so that people's property gets encroached by tractors, demolitions happen, and loss is afflicted on innocent Kenyans who have approvals for the constructions that have been undertaken? Mr. Minister, kindly give me an undertaking that you will bring this answer to the House during your next coming, or invite me to collect it and tell the people of Nyamira. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Chesumei Manyata, MP for Manyata. Okay, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I want to ask Honorable Speaker, a few weeks ago, I listened to His Excellency the President in a church service in Isiolo, giving a directive that there should not be NLC doing valuation of land and at the same time paying for that compensation. And Honorable Speaker, I would like to hear the implementing ministry of such a directive from the President, giving us what they are doing, and because the Minister has clearly said that he has to consult on issues compensation of land with NLC. Does it mean that NLC right now is stuck waiting for his directive, or it's the other way around? Honorable Speaker, I'm saying that with the question of one of the ring roads that was constructed in Embu in 2019. Today, members of the public that gave their land have never received a penny of compensation when that road was constructed, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
The MP for Mandera North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I would like to ask the CS to provide details of Kazi Mtaani project, especially phase 3 for Mandera North. I'm sure you don't have the details here, but please, I would like that information provided in respect of Mandera North constituency in terms of numbers, who has been paid and what is due. Thank you very much.
You take just two more and then...
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this is in furtherance to the supplementary question that was asked by my colleague, the MP for Nyando. As he already stated, Awasi Lands Office was engulfed by fire sometimes in February. While your ministry has made efforts to reconstruct the records, the registrar or the lands officers have nowhere to work from. The records are delicate. They will need to have a permanent office where they can keep the records and attend to people from. So we would wish to know the arrangements that your office has in terms of building or reconstructing new office for what's the lands office.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The Honorable Woman Rep for Mandera is the last one on this. Give her the mic, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to ask the CS about the Ministry of Works Sports Club in South Sea. Honorable Speaker, when I was in school, in the late 90s, MOW was vibrant. It had a swimming pool, sports facilities, gym. The place now is dilapidated. As much as it's open to the public and people actually subscribe to pay subscription fees for membership, it's not up to standard. And it sits on huge chunk of land. I wanted to ask the CS what plans they have, if they can actually privatize it, lease it out, or they just want to let it go as it is, because it's a waste of public resources. There are staffs that are there, facilities are there, but it's not functional, it's not up to good use. Yeah, that's my question.
Fair enough. CS, the chair does understand that you could not have possibly imagined all these questions before you came in here. Please give the right undertakings and make sure that you stick to your words at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Starting from the last question in regards to public works, yes, it's true the South Sea Public Works institution is not as it is supposed to be, but we want to take that undertaking. I'm taking that undertaking that now that we can see light at the end of the day in terms of funding, we are going to work towards improving that facility. Also, on the Nyando, our Nyando registry, it's true it went down, but just one moment.
Questions are very comprehensive, so just
we did gazette the reconstruction of the Nyando registry. Investigation are ongoing. We have given all the information necessary to the DCI, so we give them time to come up with an appropriate report. But currently we are working from the County Commissioner's office. We will soon be getting containers as we construct the new registry. In regards to
what's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the efforts made by the Cabinet Secretary to try to answer the question, but this office got burnt in the month of February, to be very specific, on the 18th day of February 2023. We are in July, Honorable Speaker. Whereas I acknowledge that investigations sometimes become quite complex, but at least we need to know the levels.
Allow him, the MP for Nyando, allow the minister to conclude his submission on that. You don't know what he was going to say. You stopped him somewhere in the middle. Please, Minister Cabinet, continue. And what you don't have, given an undertaking that you are going to
you are, Honorable Speaker. As I've said, investigations are going. We have given the necessary information that the DCI requires. So mine is to just take an undertaking that we are going to make a follow-up and make sure that such incidences don't happen again. So we are going to follow up with the DCI to see that we get the required information
and report back to this house.
This house
on the remedial, what do you call steps you're going to take? Right. Because what they say is that there are remedial steps that are required as a matter of urgency. So give that undertaking. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, now there were 3 questions based on Kazi Mtaani, the one that had been raised by Honorable Gikaria, Honorable Mwenje. We don't have a budget in this current financial year, but we introduce the required amount of 1.2 billion in the supplementary budget. Well, the 1.2 billion will cover all the bills that had not been paid across the country. So it's will not only be Nakuru Town East, but all the other counties and other constituencies that the Kazi Mtaani youth had not been paid. So that's another undertaking that I'm also taking. Also on compensation of roads in Nyamira, and also was it Kajiado by Arachi. We are going to consult. I'm going to follow up with the National Lands Commission because that's their role, so that in the next, once I come, I report back to this honorable.
Perfect. Perfect.
Don't think on the issue of titling, the government is issuing titles all over. So we are not discriminating against any region. Now that we have adequately been financed, we are going to cut across all areas that are mature for titling. Any Kenyan who has documents that prove land ownership, all of them we are going to make sure that we provide titles. So as a ministry, we are going to work very hard to make sure that across the country we give out titles to our citizens. Thank you.
The point of order. Honorable Kanuma, I think you are seeking a specific undertaking on your specific issue. Honorable Minister, there were specific issues raised for order. You raised for which one? You raised for Homa Bay region, and then for Kirinyaga. Kirinyaga, and Mandera. So
It's
can you
talking
give
as if we are
order. Speaker, give Honorable Cabinet Secretary, please give specific undertakings for those 3 sticking out things that were asked by members of an interest in here.
So, Honorable Speaker, for Homa Bay,
Yes.
the issue was, if I would kindly ask the Honorable Member maybe to repeat that question, kindly.
Proceed, Kaluma.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the issue was that Homa Bay region has been neglected on titling, and I mentioned even my own land, my home ancestral land, has no title. And so the question was the specific measures to secure titles for those regions so that we can also transact in land. It is wrong for the CS to say we are titling anyway.
Honorable CS.
Could I get specific undertakings
yes.
in terms of the timelines and measures?
Point taken, Honorable Colbert. Honorable CS, the issue here is Migori County. Am I right? So Homa Bay has never had any titling since independence, and I think here is something that sticks out. And then, of course, the Honorable woman rep from Kirinyaga also has a similar situation, and the Honorable MP for Mandera North. Maybe you could give them specific undertakings for all the 3 of them that you will report back to the House on the areas that they had concerns about.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On Homa Bay, I want to tell the Honorable Member that I was in Homa Bay. They have a very active registry. Maybe what I would want to know is specifically which areas, because I was there, I visited it, and unfortunately, I had a quarrel with the registry because of the way the records had been kept. However, I'm going to send a team there to make sure that all Kenyans living there are taken care of as far as titling is concerned.
And
I have
report back
taken
to the
that
House.
and report to this
Thank you.
House.
Kirinyaga also on the same?
Yes, all of them.
And Mandera North, on Lamu East is also in a similar situation. Can you ask your supplementary question on the same so that we are able to exhaust all this?
Asante, Bwana Spika. Swali langu kwa waziri, Mkokoni, Lamu East, awamu ya pili ya upimaji. Mtamaliza lini? Na waziri, kitu kinanishangaza ni Kenya nzima, Lamu peke yake kutoka wakati wa koloni ndio ni GK land. Lakini sehemu zingine zote utaona community land. Una mipango gani ya kusuluhisha hili? Kwa sababu hata kule zikiwekwa labda ni ranches, lakini ile ya community land Lamu hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Kwa serikali hii ya Kenya Kwanza, naomba hili lifanyike. Na pia ulikuja Lamu, waziri, tukakaa kwa kikao kizuri, lakini hatujapata majibu. Tunaomba majibu kwa muda wa mapema. Asante.
Just one moment for the honorable member for Mgwen. Proceed.
The mic? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. My question directly goes to the Lands and Housing CS on compensation. There's a road that was done in 2002 for Kipsiga, Serem, Shemakogo Road under the Kera Road land LR 0333. People have not been compensated up to date. It's been more than 20 years.
Fair enough.
And finally, Mr. Speaker, what is the CS? What measures is the CS and his team putting in place so that such similar issues does not recur from one government to the other, so that we can sort these issues once and for all? Thank you.
Order. No. You. This is supplementary on which question? Do you remember the last question, which is supposed to have a supplementary? There's a leeway that were given, and the minister, please give an undertaking on all this so that we can go to the next question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. One with Mkotoni scheme in Lamu, I was there, as the Honorable Member has said, and I want to assure her that... who
are you informing, the minister or the chair, or who are you informing? Okay, proceed and inform him. Inform him.
Inaitwa Mkokoni. Huko ni area ya Wabajuni, si Mkokoni. Mkokoteni sijui ni Mkokoni. Sio Mkokoteni. Inaitwa Mkokoni, mji wa waungwana.
Mheshimiwa Ruwaida, hata hiyo ungesema nidhamu badala ya kusema point of order. Kama ni Kiswahili twende na Kiswahili mwanzo mpaka mwisho. Haya, tuendelee.
Yes, kwa hivyo kule Mkokoni scheme tutamaliza surveying within the 6 months. Kwa hivyo jambo hilo tutakuwa tumelimalizia.
Undertake for Kirinyaga and undertake for Mandera. We go to the next question.
Yes, what
and MP for Mgwen. Yeah.
Yes, I'm undertaking, Honorable Speaker,
Excellent.
that in
Excellent.
the next one I'll come with a report and to this Honorable House.
Yes.
And make sure that I have answers to all those.
Take note of that, included the Hansard, so that you have the specifics of that.
Thank you.
Now I think we go to order. He has given an undertaking also.
Oh, valuation.
Waziri, Minister, can you take also for Nyamira, make the undertaking?
For Nyamira, sure. Thank you.
Fair enough?
Yes.
It is undertaken also.
Yes, it's to do with the NLC and us. Yes, there was that pronouncement, but what we are doing is that within the law, we have been in touch with the AG's office, and we are looking to ways of amending the act so that we are in line with, whatever we do will be in line with law. So this consultation between the ministry and the AG to make sure that we align to what
next question. Next question. Question number 117, MP for Mpakasi West. The Honorable Betzimba, you could raise that matter that is barring you on the next question.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Honorable Member. What's your point of order?
The mic here.
Honorable Speaker, I don't feel satisfied with such an answer, and I feel like you are rushing the answer so fast that we are not
Order. The basic rules you learn in a very special way is that you do not cast aspersions on the conduct in which the chair is running this house. That immediately gets you for the rest of the day, but I'm not going to do that. Now, next question, Honorable Mwenje.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question 117 of 2023. Could the Cabinet Secretary, one, provide details on the status of ownership of parcel of land popularly referred to as MCO in Molem Ward, in Embakasi West constituency and registered as LR number 12304, original number 11344/1, LR 12504 and LR 12147, original number 11344/4. Question 2, state whether the ministry has issued a different title deed with respect to the said parcel of land to Kiambu Dandora, or a registered group or any other person or persons. And question 3, explain why court orders issued in 2019 on ELC case number 1518 of 2013 and in November 2022 with respect to vacation of the said parcel of land by trespassers are yet to be implemented. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In response to question 5, part 1, I wish to respond as follows. According to our records, LR number 12034, original number 11344/1, measuring approximately 35.35 hectares, was initially registered as grant number 26181 in favor of the City Council of Nairobi. Annexure 4 is a copy of the title. On June 23rd, 1975, the parcel was transferred to MCO Steel Works Kenya Limited. On July 28th, 2008, the parcel was transferred to MCO Billets and Steel Limited. On April 4th, 2018, the parcel was subdivided into two portions. That is LR number 12034/2, measuring 4.920 hectares, and LR number 12034/3, measuring 29.42 hectares. On September 6th, 2018, LR number 12034/2, that is the certificate of title IR 195068, was transferred to Tononoko Rolling Mills Limited and is currently charged in favor of Barclays Bank of Kenya Limited for $4 million. There is an attached Annexure 5. LR number 12034/3, certificate of title IR 195069, is currently registered in favor of MCO Billets and Steel Limited and is charged in favor of Cooperative Bank of Kenya Limited for Kenya shillings 1,896,207,954. And there is an attached Annexure 6. LR number 12247, original title 1134/4, measuring approximately 5.198 hectares, is currently registered in favor of MCO Steelworks Kenya Limited. See grant number IR 33533 and marked as Annexure 7. The title was initially granted to the then City Council of Nairobi on a 99-year lease, which commenced on January 1st, 1978, to be utilized for a steel rolling mill. The council transferred the parcel to MCO Steelworks Kenya Limited on April 16th, 1981. LR number 12504, measuring approximately 10.06 hectares, is currently registered in favor of MCO Billets and Steel Limited. You can see grant number IR 33501 marked as Annexure 4. The parcel was granted on a 99-year lease, which commenced on October 1st, 1978, to be utilized for industrial purposes. Honorable Speaker, in response to question 2, I wish to state as follows. In Nairobi, HCCC number 1348 of 1972, Kiambu Dandora Farmers Company Limited was decreed as the registered proprietor of LL number 11379/3, measuring approximately 818 acres. From the parcels listed above, LR number 12504, currently registered in favor of MCO Billets and Steel Limited, is located within LR number 11379/3. This has thus led to the conflict between the two companies. In 1974, the then Commissioner of Lands sought to acquire LR number 11379/3 for future urban development via Gazette notices number 840 and 841, published on March 15, 1974. Annexure 9 are copies of the Gazette notices. Through the said acquisition, LR number 12504 was allocated for industrial purposes. Kiambu Dandora Farmers Company Limited claim it was never compensated and have filed Nairobi Constitutional Petition number 47 of 2011, now consolidated with Nairobi ELC case number 1518 of 2013, seeking their land or alternative compensation for the land. Honorable Speaker, this matter is in court pending determination. I submit.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the Minister, and I hope he will share the written submissions with me. Honourable Speaker, with my supplementary question, is that how come then that there is a block 242 by the Ministry of Land subdividing the exact same parcel of land and has proceeded to even issue letters of allotment from the same parcel of land. So that's my first question, is that has the ministry gone ahead to subdivide in spite of all this, the information that the minister has shared? And secondly, Honorable Speaker, my question is, why is the ministry allowing subdivisions to occur, especially in Molem Ward, where subdivisions of parcels of land? Honorable Speaker, I think you need to protect me from some noisemakers.
Order, Honorable Kajwang and the Honorable MP for Nyando. Order. Can you consult in low tones? Which is very low tones.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So my question to the ministry is why they are allowing subdivision of parcels of land that measure 20, 30, 40 acres without providing for surrender of public utilities, as has been the custom in Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, I raise this issue because this is happening in Molem Ward, where the ministry is allowing subdivision of properties. In this ward, Honorable Speaker, there are 89,000 people who reside in this ward as at 2019. It is now the third most populous ward in Nairobi, and it only has one public primary school. There's no secondary school, there's no hospital, there's no social, there is nothing. But the land is being subdivided to individuals. Honorable Speaker, thank you, and I hope CS will answer.
Honorable Junet, you are on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, first I want to thank the Minister for the answer he has given on this question. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that people in the previous regime wanted to steal this land from those people called MCO. And that matter came to this House. And those are the true records. What he read here are the true records. These are the shenanigans of this court is to deny those people their rightful ownership of their land. So, Mr. Minister, stick to that line and don't change. If you change, the House will come for you. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, my question is, my supplementary question is, we have been told in the housing sector that every constituency we are going to build 200 low-cost housing. Where will you find 200 houses? 200 houses in every constituency. I think it's, I don't know, it's for civil servant or auto. But now the question I'm asking is, where are you going to find that land in those constituencies? Nairobi, you know, in my place there is no free land. All the land belongs to people. They are ancestral lands. Everyone occupies his own, her own land. Where are you going to find that land where you're going to put these so-called 200 houses?
Yes, who is the MP for Baringo Central? Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is very simple. What measures as the CS in making sure that corruption at the headquarters of Ministry of Land is done, is stopped completely? Number two, what measures does the CS has also in making sure all land registries in Kenya do not collect money from the people? Especially at this one, I'm even concerned with my constituency because my people are complaining that the land registrars are collecting money day and night. So can the minister assure this country that he is going to clean up his ministry? Thank you.
The Honorable Bedzimba. Bedzimba MP for Kisauni.
Kisauni, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Kisauni, yes.
Yes. Asante
yeah, what's the point of order, Honorable Junet?
Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether the minister is aware that there's a letter written by someone, R.J. Simiyu, subdividing the same land to people. And it is dated 16th of May this year, 2023. And you have just read here that this land belongs to those people who have titles.
Honorable Bedzimba, can you ask a supplementary?
Nashukuru Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa nafasi kuuliza swala.
Are you tabling the letter?
Swala la ziada. eneo bunge la Kisauni, waziri, eneo bunge la Kisauni ardhi ni tatizo sugu. Je, wizara ina mikakati gani kuweza kuyakomboa mashamba ili wananchi waishi kwa amani, kama shamba la ugatuzi, shamba la Kashani na mashamba yaliyoko Junda? Je, mna mikakati gani ili kuweza kuyakomboa hayo maardhi?
The Honorable Junet, are you tabling a letter? Can you table it? And when you table a letter, you table it and then you give it to the minister to go through it also.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I wish to table this letter.
Proceed.
It is written to Mrs. Jacqueline Wambui Kinyanjui of PO Box 64, Nairobi, plot number Nairobi block, the same subdivision scheme approval, dated 16th May 2023. Mr. Speaker, signed by R.J. Simio for Director, Land Administration, and copied to Director of Surveys, Nairobi.
Can you bring the letter to the chair? And the clerks are there. Order. The standard is very ordinarily, this is a headed letter, yes, coming from the Minister of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. And it is signed by or for the Director, R.J. Simiu, and the details are there. For purposes of Parliament, this is, as far as we are concerned, authentic, unless otherwise proven. So give it to the Minister. Yes, any other supplementary question? Because once the Minister answers, we're going to the next order.
Mheshimiwa Speaker. Mheshimiwa Speaker, nilikuwa nikieleza na ukawa na wewe unazungumza na Mheshimiwa Junet. Sijui kama waziri alipata swali langu. Waziri, swali. Eneo bunge la Kisauni ardhi ni tatizo sugu. Je, wizara na makakati gani ya kuweza kuyakomboa mashamba ili wananchi waishi kwa amani, kama shamba la ugatuzi, shamba la Kashani na mashamba yaliyoko Junda? Je, wizara na makakati gani kuweza kuyakomboa?
Honorable Sigei. Francis Sigei.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I would like to mention that the issue of Kiabu Dandora have gone through my hands, but somehow, Mr. Speaker, we were unable to solve it. It's so complicated. There are so many litigants, and therefore I don't know what the minister will do, because how do we do away with these litigants who are perpetually going to court? It's very difficult. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask a question on Sotik, if you allow me, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the minister about the issue of compensation. In a road which is called Sotik, Cheborge to Roret. This road was done in 2010. And some old men, Mr. Speaker, have died, going to the Ministry of Lands asking for compensation. And up to date, there has been no compensation. Secondly, there is a road from Sotik to Ndanai, Korgor. Our people are going to the ministry all the time. We have written letters to them. And up to now, there is no compensation. Mr. Speaker, my people are coming to my office all the time. And Buenos Aires, I would like, through the Speaker, I would like to know when these people of my area are going to be compensated. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, proceed. It's well taken. Any other supplementary? We'll take 2 more supplementary questions. And then the Minister. The Honorable MP for Seme.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
By the MP for...
May I also take this opportunity to appreciate the Minister, because he's been able to actually answer all varied questions, including undertaking that he'll bring results. I really appreciate that he's able to do that. My question is relating to the title deeds, the last government, government, a lot of titles were given, and including in my constituency, titles that for a long time were lying in the ministry. But what has come out is that many of these titles actually came in the names of people who were deceased, and the pieces of land themselves had passed hands locally in various places. It has therefore generated a lot of activities in the land offices, and yet in some constituencies like mine, Seme, there is actually no land register or land registry. So people have to travel long ways. Are there plans actually to employ registrars, establish land registries in these constituencies such as Seme, so that people don't have to travel to solve these complex issues that have come from a good thing of issuing title deeds? Thank you, Sir Speaker.
Just May, the last one. Okay, Mogaka will be the last one. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Once again, it's just a straightforward question to the Minister. I'm a member of Parliament from Nandi County, a constituency called Chesumei. My question would be, we have squatters in Nandi County, and especially in my constituency, we have the Mwain and Tuya Bay squatters. They have been coming to my office all through seeking for compensation and seeking for relocation of land. How far have their matter gone? And number two, again, there is compensation of land also for the great people of the Talai community who live between Chepkober and Kapsisiwa. Their land, there was stomach which was put there, hence they gave out their land, and up to now they have not received compensation. That is in Chesumei constituency. The road from Chepterit to Kaiboi, when it was constructed, they gave out their piece of land, and up to now, a section of them from Chepkober to Kapsisiwa have not been compensated. So can the Minister actually tell us or tell me the plight of compensation for those people?
Fair
Thank
enough.
you.
Mogaka, the last one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I ask the CS to note that within Nyamira Land Registry, there is a community land that was reserved for Nyaiwa Nursery School. I repeat, Nyaiwa Nursery School. The nursery school business has since been taken over by the county governments. What measures will the minister do to ensure that that land that was reserved for Nyaiwa Nursery School reverts to the community and continues being used by the community for gatherings, prayers, funerals, and no government agency alienates that land, because that is the only community land available within Nyamira? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point, the Minister. The Chair still understands that a lot of the questions you're being asked were not questions in the original text.
Right.
And you can only give an undertaking.
Thank you.
To come back and answer those questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Starting with the last one of the Nyaiwa Nursery School. If that land was meant for the nursery school, then purely that's a county government's land. So I think, I don't know whether it has been developed for any other thing, but I think you can liaise with the county government for any other use. On titles that were given out and they turned up to the owners had died, usually before any title is processed, there are documents that are provided. So if those documents were provided and then later those people died, then there's the succession process that has to take place. So that's something that we can work together with the ministry, and where registries are constrained, we are mapping out the entire country to see that we gazette more registries so that each and every part of this country, our wananchis are served without delay. Where Honorable Member Honorable Mwenje, the issue you raised, I'm not aware. I'm going to go through the document that was given out to authenticate whether it originated from our offices, and I'll give that, I take that undertaking to
report back to the House.
Report back to the House. Also on issues of subdivision, it's good for this House to note that the surrender and approval of subdivision is usually done by the county government. So if there are issues where there are lands, public land that is supposed to be surrendered, then I think we can pick that with the county government. On affordable housing, yes, the government has undertaken to do 200 units in every constituency. Where we have no public land, either from the county or national government, we are encouraging the MPs to have these joint ventures. We can have the PPP or joint ventures, and that way we are going to help as a ministry to make sure that we provide those houses to all our Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, I'm trying to put together all those questions.
Yes, you've done enough. Yeah.
Thank you. Also for compensation, as I've said earlier, that is an National Lands Commission work, but I will be with them. I'll talk to them so that when coming back, Honorable Speaker, I'll be able to answer that in this other house.
Honorable Koya, are you on a point of order? What's your point of order?
Well, I appreciate the Minister's reaction to the questions we asked with Honorable Jared Okello. He indicated on the investigation progress, but suddenly he did not indicate whether and when they are going to do the reconstruction.
He said he's going to do all that and report back to the House.
No, he said he's going to do a trailer and then it stopped there. I don't know if the trailer is the reconstruction or whether they have it's done arrangements to reconstruct.
The Minister, to the best of the hearing of the Chair, has given an undertaking on all the areas that you raised, and we will see the report back. And I told him actually to access the Hansard so that he knows that he has addressed every part. Ordinarily, when we used to have cabinet ministers coming in here, and there's a question, and then you ask a different question, the cabinet minister would just say, you go and file that question yourself, and we'll answer you when you file it. It's a different question from what's in the order paper. But I do appreciate the good work that's being done on both sides. One, on the part of the members here, to literally raise up every issue that needs to be raised up. And as far as lands is concerned, and the fact that the minister is willing to go back and address all those issues, even if they are not in the original text of the order paper for the day. Mr. Minister, Bedzimba, are you on a point of order?
Mheshimiwa Speaker,
we need to go to the next one.
Waziri hakujibu swali mikakati walioko nao kama wizara kuweza kuyakomboa mashamba katika eneo bunge la Kisauni. Hilo hakuweza kulijibu, ingawa si swali lilikuwa limeandikiwa, lakini akiomba muda pia ni sawa, bora nipate jawabu.
Waziri, you could make an undertaking to look into that also and report back to the House.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Regularization of squatters in Kisauni constituencies, the government has regularized and titled in some parts of Kisauni. However, the government will seek for more funds to settle squatters on private land. Kwa hivyo jambo hilo tunaliangalia, tunajua ndio kuna shida kule, lakini kama serikali tutajaribu kuona kwamba wale squatters, kwa sababu kunajua kuna squatters wengi, tuone ni jinsi ipi ambavyo serikali itatafuta ardhi ili iweze kusettle wale squatters ambao wako katika sehemu hiyo.
Fair enough, Honorable Minister. Wenje. Yes, we need.
Honorable Speaker, I requested if there was a written response. Waziri did not respond.
The Waziri he will not send an oral response. He's going to send to the House written responses on all the areas that essentially he has given an undertaking. And he understands that. Communication is written.
Question. No, not on the supplementary. The initial question that he had notice on.
He has provided you that. Oh, you want the written answer yourself? Oh, fair enough. The chair will provide you with that. So the minister will provide you with that. Mr. Minister, thank you very much for having done a good job. And clearly, this is the teething periods for this new way of trying to get in the engagement between the executive and Parliament on the floor of the House. And I'm sure you'll do even a much better job the next time. Thank you very much. Next order. Next order. Order. Next order.
Order number 10, motion.
On the next order, you cannot, we don't even have the motion. Proceed with the motion.
Order number 10, motion. Approval of the Defence Cooperation Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Seychelles.
Was this motion moved? Where is the chair of the? Had he moved it? Fair enough. This is now any new member who wants to contribute on this particular number 10, motion number 10, which is the Defence Cooperation Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Seychelles. My understanding is that it was moved and seconded. Was the question proposed? The question was proposed. Now we are in debate. Yes, the Honorable Junet, you want to contribute on this? Every member has 5 minutes on this matter. If we don't have any more member, then we'll put the question. Now, can somebody rise on the mover to reply, because the chair cannot originate that? Yes. Yes, point. Your order. Proceed, Honorable Kaluma
Yes,
Peter.
Speaker, I note the challenge that you are facing is that the order paper indicated we'd be dealing with about 3 conventions requiring ratification.
Yes.
It does appear to me that there could be interest. I personally would be interested, but I've only read the report halfway. I would therefore request, Honorable Speaker, that we step down that particular order so that we don't call the mover to reply without the due attention of the House. Treaties, Honorable Speaker, require a bit of consideration, because once we ratify them, they become our law. So I only crave your indulgence, Honorable Speaker.
The chair will clearly indulge in this, and
I thank you.
Yes, the MP for Chesume.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I just wanted to bring to your attention, at this rate, when we are struggling this much, do we have the right quorum to continue with debate?
Oh, you have raised the issue of quorum. Do we have quorum? Can you ring? We don't have quorum do we have quorum or we don't? We don't have quorum. That's what the clerks at the table tell me. So ring the bell for 10 minutes. Order, Honorable Zamzam, when there is the bell is ringing, you're not allowed to leave the house. Okay, you might have some other needs. Proceed. There is no session of the House. If there's no House until the. But what point of order? Hakuna nyumba. Nyumba is now on. The bell has been rung. The quorum bell. Only after the quorum bell ceases when the House again comes together as a House. Unless you want to come and approach the chair and talk to them, something you can do. But as of now, you can even cross the aisle. You don't have to observe the rules. The House is not in session. I can't leave the chair myself. Yes, and you can't leave the chamber. You will leave. Nyando, you are a yes. Stop ringing the bell now. We've had the 10 minutes. Honorable members, the chair directs that this chair is taking cognizance of the fact that the members have raised a very pertinent issue. That when it comes to conventions, they need to have enough time to be able to go through them and read them, because these are very important ratifications and cooperation agreements between our country and other countries. Some of them are multilateral. So the chair directs that the clerks must upload these things on the portal. So every member has an opportunity to go through in the website, and you acquaint yourself exactly on it, so that next time when you come, you are thoroughly educated on the content of this matter, and for it to be put on the order paper at an appropriate time. Under the circumstances, there being no quorum, the The time now is 6:52 p.m. This House stands adjourned until Thursday, the 6th of July, 2023, at 2:30 p.m.
A contingent of issues to discuss this morning, among them bills and the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill of the National Assembly, Bill number 3 of 2023, the bill that is brought by Honorable Rueda Obo, the Member of Parliament for Lamu. This bill, which considers the conservation and management of wildlife, is expected to bring a raft of issues and changes when it comes to policies concerning conservations and management of wild animals. The objective of the bill is to amend the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act, that of number 47 of 2013, in order to include the sharks, the stonefish, and whales and stingrays among the wildlife species. This is in respect of compensation as a result of death and injuries that sometimes are caused by these animals and may be compensated. This bill will ensure that the persons who live along the water bodies in places where water counties and constituencies where touches the water bodies, who live along water bodies are entitled to the payments of compensations as a result of death and injury from the specified wildlife species. And the bill does not delegate legislative powers, nor does it limit fundamental rights and freedom. The bill also does not concern county governments, that is in terms of Article 109(5) of the Constitution, as it does not contain provisions that affect the functions and maybe powers of the county governments, as set out in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. Also the 4th schedule of the Constitution that also provide the protection of the environment as well as the protections of animals and wildlife as its national government function. The enactment of this bill shall not occasionally add additional expenditure of the public funds. That is the first considerations today on the order paper. And secondly, there is the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill, that of the National Assembly, number 5 of 2023. This is the bill that was brought by Makalu Mulu, the Member of Parliament for Kitui Central. The bill is in its first reading. And the objective of the bill is to amend the Parliamentary Pensions Act, that of Cap 196. It proposes to raise the amount of pension due to former members of Parliament who served between maybe 1st July 1984 and 1st January 2001 to a minimum sum of Kenya shillings 100,000. This is in light of the fact that despite serving the nation as a member of parliament and representing the people from the constituencies that they were elected in, some former members of parliament are languishing in poverty, and there is need to take care of their welfare. The changes also are in line with the recommendations of Akiwumi Tribunal, which was appointed in January 2009 by the Parliamentary Service Commission to review the terms and conditions of service of the members and employees of Parliament. The tribunal had submitted its report in November 19, 2009, in which one of the recommendations was that the 500 former members of Parliament to be paid the equivalent of 100,000. Each as living persons with effective 1st July 2010. That is, the Parliamentary Service Commission adopted the report in June 2010 and resolved that any of the said former members of Parliament earning a monthly pension of less than 100,000 shillings to be paid a monthly pension of 100,000 shillings. The clause 2 of the bill also provides the amendment to Section 8 of the Act that provides that former members of Parliament who, having served in Parliament between 1st July and 1st January of 2001, should be entitled to pension, and whose monthly pension amounts to not less than to 100,000 shillings. And this bill does not delegate legislative powers, and it does not limit rights and fundamental freedoms in the Bill of Rights. On the statements whether the bill concerns county government, this bill by Makali Mulu, the Member of Parliament for Kitui Central, which is in its first reading, does not concern county governments in terms of Article 110(1)(a) of the Constitution, as it does not affect the functions and powers of county governments under the 4th schedule to the Constitution. The statement on whether the bill is a money bill within the meaning of Article 114 of the Constitution. The enactment of the bill shall occasion an additional expenditure of public funds. It was dated 27 April 2023. As you can see, members of Parliament are streaming in to the second session of the morning sitting, today being Wednesday, 5th July, the first session of 9:30. Which is expected to begin at 9:30. The members of Parliament are already ready for this session, where the Public Service Commission also will be having a bill by Benjamin Gadhiru, the Member of Parliament. It's an amendment bill on its first reading. Also, there's a bill on the crops brought by Tandaza Sawa, the Member of Parliament, on its first reading. The Public Service Internship Bill, National Assembly, the Bill number 63 of 2022, brought by Honorable Naisula Lesuda, Member of Parliament for Samburu West. We also have the Penal Code Amendment Bill of the National Assembly, Bill number 56 of 2022, which is also in its second reading, brought by Honorable David Gikaria, the Member of Parliament. We also have a motion on the establishment of National Cancer Prevention and Control Fund by Timothy Torotich, the Member of Parliament for Marakwet West. And the Speaker of the National Assembly is making his way to the Parliamentary Chamber of the National Assembly, where he's expected to preside over today's session of Wednesday, July 5th at 9:30. The Deputy Speaker, Madam Gladys Boss, has now walked into the chamber, where is expected to begin the session today, opening the Parliament, where members of Parliament are expected to carry out a number of bills and discussions, motions, and among the motions on policy and integrating a curriculum for environmental conservation in primary and secondary. And I hand over to the plenary.
Appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. I direct that the bell be rung for 10 minutes.
The bell for quorum has been rung for 10 minutes to allow members of parliament to make their ways to the plenary where the Deputy Speaker, Gladys Boss, is chairing today's session, being Wednesday, July 5th at 9:30, 2023, the second session, the morning sitting where members of parliament are today expected to discuss a raft of bills and motions. And today on our order paper, we have Lamu West East Member of Parliament, Honorable Rueda Obo, who is, has an amendment bill on the wildlife conservation, an amendment bill of the National Assembly number 3 of 2023, which the principal objective of the bill is to amend the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act number 47 of 2013, which seeks to include the sharks, stonefish, whales, and stingrays among the wildlife species in respect with compensation as a result of death and injury may be paid. This bill will ensure that the persons who live along the water bodies are entitled to payments of compensation as a result of death and injury from the specified wildlife species. Also, in whether the statement on the delegation of legislative powers and limitation of fundamental rights and freedoms, the bill does not delegate legislative powers, nor does it limit fundamental rights and freedom. And on statements of how the bill concerns county government, this bill brought by Honorable Rueda Obo, the Member of Parliament, on the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill of the National Assembly, Bill number 3 of 2023. The bill does not concern any county government in terms of Article 109(5) of the Constitution, as it does not contain provisions of the affected functions and powers of the county government as set out in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. Part 1 of the 4th schedule to the Constitution provides that protection of the environment, as well as protections of animals and wildlife, is a national government function. Thus, the bill will not concern the county government in terms of Article 109(5) of the Constitution. Also, if the statement as whether the bill is a money bill within the meaning of Article 114 of the Constitution, the enactment of this bill shall not occasion an additional expenditure of public funds. Also today, the members of parliament led by Makali Mulu, the Member of Parliament for Kitui Central, as the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill, Bill number 35 of 2023, which is in its first reading on parliamentary pensions. And the principal objective of the bill is to amend the Parliamentary Pension Act Cap 196. It proposes to raise the amount of pension due for former members of Parliament who served between 1st July 1984 and 1st January 2001 to a minimum sum of Kenya shillings 100,000. This is in the light of the fact that despite serving the nation, some former members of Parliament are languishing in poverty, and there is need to take care of their welfare. The changes are also in line to the recommendation of the Akiwumi Tribunal, which was appointed in January 2009 by the Parliamentary Service Commission, PSC, which reviews the terms and conditions of service of members of Parliament and employees of Parliament. The tribunal submitted its report in November 12, 2009, in which one of the recommendations was that the 500 former members of Parliament who served representing people from 1984 to 2001 says that the former members of Parliament should at least be awarded 100,000 shillings paid to the equivalent as pensions from 1st July 2010. The Parliamentary Service Commission adopted the report in June 2010 and resolved that any of the said members who served under that period should be entitled to that payment. Also, Clause 2 of the bill provides for the amendment to Section 8 of the Act to provide that former member of Parliament who, having served in Parliament between 1st July 1984 and 1st January 2001 is also entitled to pension, and whose pension amounts not less than to 100,000 and should be entitled to a monthly pension. On whether the statement on delegation of legislative powers and limitation of fundamental rights and freedom. This bill by Makali Mulu, the Member of Parliament for Kitui Central, does not delegate legislative powers, and it does not limit rights and fundamental freedoms in the Bill of Rights. And the statement whether the bill concerns that of county government. This bill does not concern county governments in terms of Article 110(1) of the Constitution, as it does not affect any functions or powers of county governments under the 4th schedule to the Constitution. On the statement of whether the bill is a money bill within the meaning of Article 114 of the Constitution, the enactment of this bill shall occasion an additional expenditure of public funds. Also, Honorable David Gikaria, Member of Parliament, is expected to present his bill in second reading, the bill on the National Construction Authority, the Amendment Bill of the National Assembly, number 59 of 2022. There's also the Public Service Internship Bill of the National Assembly, number 63 of 2022, by Honorable Naisula Lesuda, Member of Parliament for Samburu West. Also, the Public Service on the Values and Principles Amendment Bill of National Assembly, number 46 of 2022, brought by Honorable Abdul Dawood, Member of Parliament, which is in second reading, is expected also to be discussed this morning. In the motions, we have the development and implementation of a childcare program for children whose parents are in lawful custody. This is a bill by Honorable Brighton Yegon that says that where Article 53 of the Constitution provides children, including the right to free and compulsory public education. Further aware that in Section 22 of Persons Deprived of Liberty Act and the Children Care Policy provides for the care of child whose parents is deprived of liberty until the child attains the age of 4 years, recognizing that children above the age of 4 years still require parental support. Further, recognizing that majority of these children often suffer from emotional distress, social stigma, and economic hardship, cognizant of the fact that all children should be accorded a means of maintaining their relationship with their parents, noting that children have restricted economic resources available for their support, in which in turns negatively in their lives. Also, the motion on the national policy on deworming of school-going children by Honorable Mashua Waithaka, the Member of Parliament, and the motion on public health concerns at Langata Cemetery, brought by the Member of Parliament for Langata constituency, Honorable Felix Odiwar, the Member of Parliament, says Article 42 of the Constitution provides for the rights of every person to a clean and healthy environment. Further, aware that Article 69 of the Constitution obligates the state to ensure that sustainable utilization of environment and natural resources, including land, recognizing that the fourth schedule to the Constitution assigns to the national government the functions of land planning, including the general principles of land planning and coordination of planning by the counties, as well as that of matters of health policy. Further, recognizing that there is an ongoing public outcry regarding the neglect of Langata Public Cemetery, which was declared full close to 2 decades ago, a concern that this matter has been left unaddressed and poses a significant threat. The quorum has been achieved, and I hand over to the plenary.
I think we have quorum.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Deputy Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 5th July 2023, in the morning sitting. 1. Annual report of the Commission of Administrative Justice for the financial year 2021-2022 from the Commission on Administrative Justice, Office of the Ombudsman. 2. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2022 and certificates therein. A. Suna East, Suna West, Kilifi South, Kilifi North, Kitutu Chache South, Baringo South, South Mugirango, Mwingi Central, Kinango, Kabondo Kasipul, Voi, Awendo, Wundanyi, Changamwe, Taveta, Bokbasi, Likoni, Bonchari, Karachuonyo, Rabai, Malindi, Ganze, Lungalunga, Kaloleni, Uriri, and Mwatate. 3. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022 and certificates therein. A. Kisii University, Turkana University College, Kakrao Technical and Vocational College, Riragia Technical and Vocational College, Omuga Technical and Vocational College, Likoni Technical and Vocational College, Siruti Technical and Vocational College, Awendo, Mawego Technical Training Institute, Ahmed Shahame Muidani Technical Training Institute, Godoma Technical Training Institute, Siala Technical Training Institute, Coast Institute of Technology, Information and Communication Technology Authority, Kenya Ports Authority, and the Human Resource Management Professional Examination Board. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Member for Laisamis.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask that, being a member of Parliament for Laisamis constituency, I asked the independent electoral...
Kindly use the mic next to you. That's not clear enough.
Okay.
To your right, yes.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask question number 087-2023. I'd like to ask the question direct to Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Could the Commission, 1, provide a report on the last review or exercise undertaken, if any, on constituency or county boundaries markings undertakings by the Commission in the country? 2, provide details of the size in square kilometers of Laisamis constituency and clarify whether the size has ever been varied over time. 3, provide details of the actual global positioning system, GPS, coordinates of the boundaries of the constituency in the north, south, east, and west, as well as those of each of constituencies bordering Laisamis constituency. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, I've received a request from Honorable David Gikaria, Chair for Environment Committee, and I think requesting that a member for Kajiado North, Onesphorus Ngoyo, you give the question on his behalf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the member for Nakuru Town East, David Gikaria, to ask a question to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Could the Commission, one, state when it is intending to carry out the exercise of reviewing of constituencies and wards boundaries as stipulated in the Constitution? Two, elaborate on the criteria the Commission plans to employ so as to guarantee fair boundary review process. Three, provide details of the protected constituencies and how the Commission will ensure that the boundaries review process does not interfere with the same. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Member for Narok North, Honorable Agnes Pareño.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity and to ask this question. And my question is, could the Commission explain why Narok North constituency has not been gazetted as a hardship area despite satisfying the conditions to be disgraded as such? Two, enumerated efforts that have been instituted to ensure teachers deployed in the constituency benefit from the hardship allowances. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Butula. I think he's not present. We can move to the next order.
Order number 8, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2023. First reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act 2013.
Next order.
Order number 9, the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2023. First reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Parliamentary Pensions Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 10, the Public Service Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2023. First reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Public Service Commission Act.
Next order.
Order number 11, the Crops Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2023. First reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Crops Act.
Next order.
Order number 12, the National Government Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2023. First reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the National Government Coordination Act.
Next order.
Order number 13, motion. Development of a policy and funding for junior secondary schools.
I think we had a balance of 2 hours, 50 minutes, so we'll resume debate. I'm informed that Honorable Shakil had a balance of 5 minutes, but he's not here. I think we can proceed. Members who want to contribute, press the intervention button. Okay. Member for Kadiani, Honorable Robert Ngui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I stand to support this motion by the Honorable Ruku because, Madam Speaker, this is really an important issue. Madam Speaker, education is critically important because even from our forefathers when we gained independence, one of the pillars that they were hell-bent on ensuring that they sought out was the issue of fighting ignorance, which is basically providing the population of this country with education. And over the years, Kenyans have proven to be extremely good in academic matters because if you go all over the world, you find, excuse me, the best scholars are actually Kenyan. And that means basically we have the right people, we have the right breed for purposes education. But Madam Speaker, the government of the Republic of Kenya over the years has constantly bungled the matters of education. And Madam Speaker, I'm saying this because one of the things that you notice that over the years, systems of education keep changing. And you know, many times you cannot even get a clear-cut reason apparently for why the changes are occurring. I remember when I was young, there was systems that had existed before where the education system was such that there would be an exam, I think at standard 3 or grade 3 then, called intermediary, then there would be other exams going forward. I went through a system where we had seven years of primary, 4 of secondary, 2 of A-level, and 3 at the university. Afterwards, there is the one that they call the 844 system, which is now being scrapped for the new CBC. But Madam Speaker, you notice, every time we have these kind of changes, there's investments that are made that sometimes go to waste. If you go to our rural areas, most of our primary schools have got a classroom that existed that was called a workshop that was earlier used for pre-technical subjects, art and music and art and crafts, and now they are defunct, they're not being used. So a new system comes in, and we are supposed to now look for laboratories, look for extra classes. So, Madam Speaker, I think we need to be very careful to ensure that whatever system we come up with, we can live with it for a long time. If you go to the developed world, they don't keep changing the education system every 5 or 10 years or after every major election. We must come up with a policy in education that will last for time immemorial. So that if we are going to introduce any changes, they are minor, not major changes that will leave some of our facilities without being used. Madam Speaker, now the new system has reintroduced subjects like art, music, pre-technical, and these subjects require new facilities. The facilities that were not used for many years had already become voided, and some of them had even been brought down. So, Madam Speaker, it's important that the government does a good job. I want to support the idea of the new education system. I think it's a brilliant idea. The CBC education system is very clear, and it's actually emulating some of the developed countries. But, Madam Speaker, as we emulate that, we must ensure that we do proper planning. And planning for education means that we deal with the issue of curriculum, the issue of staffing, and the issue of funding. Madam Speaker, that is where I feel that as a government, as a country, we have failed. Now, CBC started in 2015 with the PP1. 8 years later, we have never put in place plans for ensuring that we have enough classes, we have enough labs. We have not ensured that the teachers that are going to teach this system have been trained, because even now, what we are churning out of our education, our teacher training institutions, is still the training that is for 844. So it's really unfortunate. And Madam Speaker, what happened is that the government, in its knee-jerk responses, decided that we will train the teachers that will be teaching CBC. And the teachers that were taken for this training, which was just basically, in service training for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, was generally for the teachers that were teaching lower primary schools. And Madam Speaker, what if the research shows that those teachers that were teaching lower primary schools are mostly the mature lady teachers, female teachers in our rural areas. And when they were taken for training, when they came back, they refused to teach that system and passed it on to the younger generation and told them it is you who can do this training. Unfortunately, that training actually went to waste. And so you find that many of the teachers that are involved, up to now, they don't understand the system. Now, JSS, Madam Speaker, is JSS is a very good concept. But Madam Speaker, there is a very major mess in the manner in which the JSS has been introduced. First, you remember, we were told that the junior secondary schools would be in secondary. And so every secondary school in Kenya was facilitated to put up a classroom. Madam Speaker, those classes up to now, we have very many questions about them because the funding was totally inadequate, and some of them are like a half of a classroom size. But they were built in secondary schools. Later on, another policy comes where we are supposed to do these schools, or rather these schools are supposed to be domiciled now in the primary section. And then there was a decision of which primary schools are the ones that will be allowed to host JSS. Madam Speaker, in my constituency, it is a shame that my top performing primary school was not qualified to be able to accommodate JSS. And then the children that were there in grade 6, when they went to grade 7, they were taken to some of the worst performing schools. And that is really demoralizing to the parents. So, Madam Speaker, I believe that this motion it speaks to the heart of the problem that we are facing, and that, Madam Speaker, what we require as a government now is to ensure that the policy is put in place and the facilities are put in place so that every child can be able to continue learning from where they started in primary, finish grade 6, go to grade 7, 8, and 9 within their primary schools, and finish so that they can go to secondary schools. Madam Speaker, it is possible because already every primary school has up to grade 8. So all they require is one extra class, and that is in another year and a half. And after that, they require one lab. I am certain that even from the money that we get under CDF, and with a little bit of support from the Ministry of Education, we can be able to make this dream come true. So I want to support, and I want to say that the honorable member thought through properly, and this is something that is worth emulating. That is why the people of Mbeere North have the right leader. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Dorothy Kiara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this very important motion, and I want to thank the member for Mbeere, Honorable Ruto, for bringing up this very, very important item for discussion in this House. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution recognizes